Mom was given away as a baby and was told she had died. Then 40 years later she found her biological brothers, but they want her to take care of the mother who abandoned her. I, 35F, grew up in the US, born and raised in Austin, Texas. My father, 70M, is Canadian, and my mother, 68F, is Greek. Every summer, we vacationed in Greece with my maternal grandparents. When I was 25, my parents retired and moved permanently to Greece after my mother inherited a house and a significant amount of money from her mother when she passed away. That's when things took a strange turn. During the last few months of my grandmother's life, my mom went to Greece to care for her, as she was no longer able to take care of herself. In her final days, my grandmother revealed a shocking secret: my mom was adopted. She wasn't the biological child of the parents who raised her. Instead, she was the daughter of my grandmother's cousin. Apparently, in Greece, decades ago, it was common for struggling families with many children to give a baby to a relative who couldn't have kids. My mother was devastated. She grieved the fact that she never knew her real family and that no one ever told her. After my grandmother passed, she decided to move to Greece to reconnect with the biological family she never met. She traveled to the region where her biological mother lived and met her for the first time, along with 2 older brothers and a younger sister. Her oldest brother was especially emotional because he vaguely remembered the day they gave my mother away as a baby. But from the start, my mom was hurt that none of them had ever tried to find her. Their excuse was that she had moved to the US, and it was difficult to track her down, while her biological mother said she had made a pact with her cousin, my adoptive grandmother, never to reveal the truth. The entire village had been told that my mom had died as a baby, so no one ever questioned it. For the past 10 years, my parents have lived in Greece, and my mom has built a close relationship with her siblings. However, her relationship with her biological mother has remained distant and formal. She never got over the fact that this woman kept all her other children but gave her away, likely because she was a girl. At the time, boys were valued more because they worked the fields and contributed to the family's income, whereas girls were seen as a burden. 2 years ago, I was able to move to Greece as well, since the parents who raised my mom left her a sizable inheritance. It allowed us to live comfortably, and honestly, I preferred the lifestyle here. We live in a beautiful place near the capital, and life is peaceful. Now, here's the issue. My mom's biological mother is now 96 years old and in very poor health. Her biological father passed away decades ago due to political circumstances. Her 2 older brothers, her sister lives abroad, have been taking care of their mother, but they are exhausted. Their wives are complaining, tensions are rising, and at a recent family gathering, they told my mom that she should also help take care of their mother because it's unfair that they are doing it alone. My father was furious when he heard this and told my mother to cut them off entirely. My mom refuses to take care of this woman. She doesn't love her, doesn't feel any emotional connection to her, and can't forgive her for abandoning her. My mom is not close to this woman's, and of course she has no legal claim to any inheritance from this family. However, she has truly enjoyed her relationship with her siblings and their children and doesn't want to lose that. She's feeling pressured, though, and she's deeply upset by their demands. When I found out, I was livid. How dare these people ask this of my mother, knowing full well that she was abandoned and that no one even attempted to find her. I feel like they're manipulating her, and she's unable to see how unfair this is. I'm getting married in a month to my fiancé, who is Greek and fully supportive of me, and I am seriously considering uninviting all of them from the wedding. I want to send a clear message that we don't want contact with them anymore. However, my mother is hesitant. She doesn't want to escalate things, even though she's hurting. I feel like she's not as attached to these people as she thinks. She's mourning the idea of the family she never had rather than truly loving these people. And I hate seeing her being taken advantage of. I always idealized Greece and the strong bonds of family, but now I see that's not always the case. I'm so disappointed by all of this. What would you do in this situation? Would you cut them off? Would you disinvite them from the wedding? How can I help my mother navigate this? Edit, I forgot to mention something I think is important. My mom suggested they find a senior care facility to put her biological mother in. She even offered to pay a quarter of the price. My biological uncles were offended because they said it was disrespectful to their mother to put her in a nursing home. Another Greek thing. Although they are generally financially comfortable, a quarter for a good structure can mean 400 or 500/person per month. Which, by Greek standards, is enough. I think their idea of help is taking her biological mother home for a few months. Update 1, February 15, 2025. Hey y'all. First of all, thank you so much for all the responses to my previous post. I decided to share it with my mom and let her read your comments. She was really moved by the similar stories some of you shared. This led to a deep conversation between us. Over the past few years, my mom has learned a lot about her adoption. Unfortunately, my bio grandma was not a good person. The wife of one of my bio uncles, let's call her Maria, sat my mom down a few years ago and told her everything. Turns out, my bio grandma was a very strict and spiteful woman who treated the people who worked for her horribly. She never wanted daughters and even tried to give away her other daughter, but that adoption fell through, so she kept her. My bio aunt went through a really tough time growing up, and that's why she moved abroad. Her brothers never supported her the way they should have, and they even cheated her out of part of her inheritance. Maria is now thinking about leaving her husband since their kids are grown, and she doesn't want to stay married to a man she knows isn't a good person. As for my mom, she never felt a bond with her bio mother. But after hearing everything from Maria, she's decided she doesn't want much contact at all. She knows exactly what kind of people her bio brothers are and never wanted a super close relationship with them. They're not in daily contact anyway, but she does feel attached to her nieces, nephews, and their wives. That's the main reason she hasn't cut ties completely. My mom has decided she will help financially but won't take bio grandma into her home. She's doing it mainly to support her bio sister, who is under pressure from their brothers to care for their mother. My mom has tried to get closer to her bio sister over the years, but her sister has kept her distance. She explained that she has deep trauma from growing up with their mother and wants to maintain some emotional space. But she's still happy they met. This past Christmas, my bio aunt came to Greece and stayed at our house. I wasn't there because I was visiting friends in the Netherlands, but my mom and her sister spent time together, and it brought them closer. My aunt told my mom to cut off her brothers completely and even invited her to move to her country. She has made it clear she wants only a formal relationship with the rest of the family, except for my mom, whom she loves dearly. I had no idea about most of this because my mom didn't want me to see my uncles in a bad light. She still thinks she'll keep some minimal relationship with them, but she's especially close with a few of her nieces and nephews and doesn't want to lose that. One of my cousins, Maria's son, even confided in my mom that he wants to cut ties with his father. When my bio uncle asked my mom for help, this cousin, who's only 25, pulled her aside and told her to stay away and not give them anything because they don't deserve it. That really got to me. It showed me that not everyone in this family is selfish or manipulative. I actually have a good relationship with this cousin. He gets along great with my fiancée since they work in the same field. After learning all this, I met up with him last night, and we talked. He has moved out on his own but still keeps some contact with his dad, mainly because he wants to wait until Maria leaves before cutting ties completely. He told me that his father and uncle inherited a lot of wealth and never really had to work. They started some businesses, but when they struggled, they took large sums of money from bio grandma and other relatives. Now they've recovered and live comfortably, but they never paid back what they owe. My cousin is ashamed of his family's actions and doesn't want to be judged for them. He also believes they are trying to financially exploit my mom. Because he cares about her and really respects my parents, he warned them not to get involved. After everything, my parents and I made a decision. My mom will give one lump sum of money for her bio mother's care. Whether they put her in a nursing home or hire a caregiver is their problem. She will also have a final talk with her brothers to make it clear that she is not taking care of their mother because that woman was never a mother to her. When Maria manages to get divorced, which my parents want to support her through, we expect the relationship with the brothers to fall apart. My mom is still sad that she never found the ideal family she imagined, but she feels lucky to have her sister, Maria, and her nephew, whom she truly loves. As for the wedding, we decided to invite them to avoid unnecessary drama. That's the update for now. I truly appreciate all the comments and support. I feel sorry for those who have gone through similar painful experiences, and I hope no one has to go through this again. Lastly, I feel terrible for ever doubting my grandparents, the ones who actually raised my mom. They were amazing, kind, and compassionate people who helped so many others in the US. Everything they had was earned through hard work. I'm so grateful they adopted my mom, and I wish they had also taken in my aunt. Thank you again, everyone. If I have another update, I'll be back. Comments where Op has replied, Commenter 1, she's still being taken advantage of. They will ask for more money. It's always the same story, the brothers get money and the one taking care of the elders is someone who has nothing to do with those swindlers. Oop, no really my mom knows what she is doing. She will give an amount of money if they agree to never ask her such a thing. The amount will be relatively small, around 3,000 euros, and she is ready to cut them off entirely if they ever mention anything again. It's not the ideal solution for me either, but I am glad my mother met Maria and I want her to be safe. The reason I came here on Reddit in the first place was the fact that I didn't want my mom to get hurt. Now I know she understands what types of people her bio brothers are, so I am okay with whatever decision she makes. Commenter 2, do you trust the uncles to actually use the money for grandma's care? I feel like they might just pocket it and claim your mom didn't help. Oop, new Omicron, I do not trust them, but neither me nor my mother really care if they will actually help their bio grandma. My mom has already spoken with Maria and her sister and they are aware of her next move. She wants to give the money to help those poor wives taking care of their mother-in-law who made their life a living hell. I am so happy my mother knows everything about her bio brothers. That was my concern in the first place. Commenter 3, why are you still inviting them to your wedding? How will that avoid drama? Oop, well my wedding is in less than a month. They are already invited. If I take back the invitation they will for sure become offensive, at the very least. I genuinely want their wives there, especially after learning the truth about their lives and their opinions in the situation, and my cousins. Some of cousins are relatively young and still attached to their fathers, so there is a good chance they will be offended for uninviting their fathers. So we decided to keep them invited to avoid all these things. My mom plans to talk to them about the money etc. after the wedding. We have a luau to organize till then anyway, but if they pressure more for an answer earlier there is a good chance they will not attend anyways. Update 2, hey everyone, first of all, thank you so much for all the comments and messages. I've been so busy with wedding preparations that I couldn't respond to everyone, but I really appreciate the support. I figured it was time for an update on how everything unfolded. During the wedding planning, things were relatively quiet. I grew even closer to my cousins, my Aunt Maria, and my bio aunt, who came back to Greece for 10 days. I learned some truly heartbreaking things about what the women in this family have endured. After everything, my parents decided to fully support the women however they could and to cut off my mom's bio brothers entirely. The wedding happened last Saturday, and it was absolutely perfect, no drama, just happiness. I could make a whole post about it, but it feels unrelated, haha. Then, in the past 10 days, everything exploded. 2 days after the wedding, Maria told my bio uncle that she was divorcing him. Thankfully, we had postponed our honeymoon until the summer, so I was here to support her. She moved into my mom's house, and things escalated fast. My bio uncle lost it. He showed up at my parents' house, yelling and cursing. My dad was completely shocked but immediately kicked him out. Since then, both of my mom's bio brothers have been pushing her not to get involved and to stop putting ideas into Maria's head. But, thankfully, Maria's kids are fully on her side. They confronted their father, told him off, and are now helping their mother find a place to stay and supporting her financially. That set off a whole new domino effect. My bio aunt, the one who lives abroad, also confronted her brothers. Up until now, she had kept things relatively civil, but after seeing what happened to Maria, she decided she was done. What we didn't know until recently was that her brothers had been manipulating her too. They told her that if she left Greece and didn't stay to take care of their mother, she would lose any claim to her inheritance. Now that the truth is out, she's taking them to court to get what's rightfully hers. On top of that, her husband, who is honestly an amazing man, had also lent money to my bio uncles years ago. But unlike the rest of us, he was smart enough to structure it as a business loan, and now he's suing them to get it back. The final straw for all of us was finding out about the bio brothers scheme. Maria told us everything. They had been bitter for years about how financially stable my mom is, thanks to her adoptive parents and the fact that my dad is also well off. They resented that she had a good life while they were constantly struggling due to their own bad decisions. Their plan? To manipulate her into giving them money, using their mother as an excuse. When my mom hesitated about whether she even wanted to contribute to her bio mother's care, they lost it. They started talking behind her back, saying things like, she'll see what happens to her. She acts like she's rich but won't even take care of her own mother. After that, my mom was completely done. Now, bio grandma is still living in one of my bio uncle's homes, but his wife has now refused to take care of her. She told them either they put her in a nursing home or the other brother, who now lives alone, can take her in. I have no idea how that will play out, but honestly, I don't really care. This Saturday, they've scheduled a final meeting with all the siblings and their spouses to settle things once and for all. Maybe I should have waited until after that to post an update, but I was scrolling through Reddit today and figured some of you might want to know what's been happening. As for me, I'm relieved about how things turned out. I'm so glad my mom never had to give them a cent, and honestly, I owe that to Maria reaching her breaking point. When she overheard them talking about how much money we wasted on the wedding and how they could find a way to get their share, she told my mom everything. That was the moment my mom fully let go of any guilt. I'm also happy that we're cutting ties because I never felt comfortable around them. I never felt any warmth or real connection. That being said, I've caught my mom crying or sitting in silence, clearly deep in thought. She hasn't talked about how much this has hurt her, but I know she's grieving the idea of the family she hoped to have. She spent years trying to get to know them and build some sort of bond, only to realize that it was never real. Still, at least she now knows the truth and won't have toxic, manipulative people in her life. What I am grateful for is the genuine family connections that have come out of this mess. My dad's family is small, and since we lived outside of Canada, I never had much of a connection there. My mom only had her adoptive parents in the US, so I never really experienced what it was like to be part of a big family. Now, for the first time, I feel like I have people I can truly trust and love without second-guessing their intentions. I am nervous about the meeting on Saturday, mostly because of my cousin. He's been through so much with his father, and I feel like he's going to unleash all his anger in that room. I love him so much, and I know he feels like he's finally found real family in us. He also recently came out to his mother, Maria, but he hasn't told his father yet. Maria had no idea. When he told her, she broke down crying, hugged him, and apologized for not creating a safe enough space for him to open up sooner. He had to live a hidden life because of his father's toxic beliefs, and it breaks my heart. Maria also carries a lot of guilt. She never worked independently, she helped in her husband's businesses, but he always controlled the finances. She never felt strong enough to leave, even though she endured so much mistreatment, likely infidelity, and was constantly belittled by both her husband and bio-grandma. She thought staying was the best way to protect her kids from poverty, which in Greece can be brutal, especially for single mothers. But now she realizes that by staying, she also made her son feel like he had to hide who he was. There's so much more I could say, but I recently found out that my story has been shared in different videos online. My husband came across it, and for that reason, I don't want to expose any more personal details about my family unless they choose to share their stories themselves. One last thing, I want to say thank you to everyone who commented. My mom keeps coming back to the post and reading stories from other adoptees. She cries every time, but in a way, it's helping her heal. She sends you all her love. Maybe I'll update again after the meeting. One final question for you all. After everything I've learned, I now know that bio-grandma is and always has been a truly awful person. I wouldn't be surprised if she had some kind of undiagnosed psychiatric condition, but at this point, it doesn't really matter. Even after all the horrible things she's done, even knowing she said things like, "Look at her, that dumb looking face, good thing I didn't keep her, at least she didn't eat our food for free," I still sometimes feel sorry for her. She's now completely alone. Her grandkids don't visit because she was cruel, even violent, to their mothers. Her sons don't care. The only person stuck with her is her daughter-in-law, who's only tolerating her because there's no other choice. I know she deserves it. I know karma caught up with her. And yet, sometimes, I think about her and cry. What would you do? Would you feel bad in my situation? I want to just ignore it, but I feel so sad at times.